Hey, it's Ellie. Welcome back to another video, or hello if you are new. Today I am building a lion habitat in my Summit Sanctuary Zoo. I think this might be in two parts. I don't recall. I don't remember how much I got done in this episode. But it was a little bit of a challenge because, as you can see, my goal was to have an upper floor, like a deck area, that was actually accessible to the guests. So it had pathing under all the flooring. That was my goal. And yeah, it took a little bit of time to kind of get the building to look nice with the weird pathing that I have to do when I do raised things like this. Plus, I don't know what happened to my mud pieces that I was like angling against the stairs, but it got very, very angled, so it wasn't like at a 90-degree angle with the grass underneath or anything, and that messed me up for a while. But anyway, I have some very exciting news. Exciting for me, exciting for you eventually. I have officially finished building Summit Sanctuary. So, the polar bear habitat took a very long time. My partner was laughing at me because I've been saying for like 3 weekends in a row that I was gonna finish the zoo this weekend, and then I did not, and then I spent more time working on it through the week. And I would come to the weekend again and I would be like, this time for sure. And then, yeah, things just kept happening. I sort of forgot a whole staff area that I had. It's not that I forgot. I did know that I had to do it. It's just that when I was thinking about all the things that I was trying to complete at the end, somehow it slipped my mind that I also had that. So naturally I did like 18 walkthroughs before I filmed any final cuts of the zoo, and found a bunch of more things that I wanted to change, or just like little details here and there that I decided to adjust as I saw them. And then finally yesterday at I think it was like 12:14 a.m. So I guess technically today, as I'm recording this, I completed the full tour video of my zoo. So I'm not sure how this is gonna be, right? Because there's some areas in my zoo that I think will look a lot better when they have guests, like all the restaurants. Yeah. But then some of the pathways and some of the viewing areas maybe would look better without the guests because they're kind of intrusive. I don't know. I have to feel it out. So I did, as I said, record a full tour video. It's about an hour long, I think just over an hour long. And then what I still have to do is open the zoo, let the guests filter in, and kind of like, I have a pretty harsh limit of guests on my zoo because I'm not trying to make money off of it, so I don't care how many people are actually in my zoo. So I do definitely need to let the zoo be open for a little bit of time, just to see if, see if there's anything wrong, but also just to let the guests like matriculate out into the edges of my zoo, the furthest spaces, so that kind of all of the areas have guests in them. I may cheat and move some guests around so that they have to walk back to the entrance and see if that works. But yeah, in general, I just need to let my zoo be open for a while, and then I can record another full tour with the guests in it. So hopefully with all the restaurant tables and booths filled, with them walking around. Like the food court area looks, I feel like, really bland. Some of the, like, especially some of the areas in the buildings that I left intentionally very open and large, because I knew that when guests come in the zoo, they're going to be stopping in front of the habitat areas and obstructing the flow of traffic. So I, left a lot of pathing space so that they will be able to navigate around one another. But without guests in the zoo, it looks too big. It looks empty in some of the spaces, in my opinion. So I was really, as I was doing my tour, I love looking at the final product because I've been working on the zoo for over a year. But I also was feeling like it was definitely missing that extra element of feeling like a real zoo, But I'm so happy to be done. I'm so happy that I can start a new project. I'm not sure when that's gonna be, because I'm gonna be going on a trip in a couple weeks, in like 2 weeks. So I don't know if I want to start something beforehand. I don't know if I want to bring my laptop and just do some terraforming, like terrain modding for the zoo, because I do feel like that is something that I want to get better at, which is making the zoo less flat. I think all in all, the zoo is pretty flat. I did try to create the illusion of it not being as flat, and there's some habitats that, have more terraforming than others, but for the most part, everything is flat. The pathways definitely are just flat all the way around. I think my main path is on the same level throughout the entirety of the park, and then there's just some subsections that have elevated pathing for whatever reason, like here. And so I think with my next zoo, I definitely want to try to do some terraforming ahead of time, and then think about how somebody would have built into that landscape for a zoo. Especially if I'm doing a New England zoo, because I feel like there's sections of the coastline that are actually quite elevated, and there's a lot of elevation changes, and so even if I have maybe the coastline more natural, like a natural inclination, then I could do some kind of, like, I don't want to say mountains, but I'm pretty sure Vermont is very hilly. I think there's a lot of hills and mountains in Vermont. Which, by the way, I looked in a map and I think I was confusing Vermont and New Hampshire, because Vermont does not have any coastline. There are a lot of lakes in Vermont, but there is no coastline. There is, like, maybe possibly a tiny smidge of coast on New Hampshire, but it doesn't really have much coast either, to be honest. So yeah, New Jersey though would have a lot of coast, and also Massachusetts has a lot of coast. Those are all sort of New England. I think maybe less New Jersey, because whenever I think of New Jersey, I just think of, like, outside of New York City, and that's not the vibe I'm going for, but I'm sure there's more forested areas of New Jersey, just like New York State is not just New York City. Anyway, yeah, I am happy to be done with the zoo. Just a huge, like a relief almost. I don't know. not that I was not enjoying the build. It's just nice to be done with a project after so long of working on it, that it's finally, you know, I can see finally the fruit of my labor. It does feel a little strange because it's like, in a way, it feels like it's just for me. You know, like, why did I really build this? Just because I wanted to? I don't know how much people are actually going to use the zoo in a game. I can't, honestly, I can't really imagine, but I'm sure the few of you who are watching my YouTube videos will enjoy the full tour at least. So that's something. I guess maybe it's just because it's not really like a tangible thing, and as I said, I don't imagine a lot of people are actually going to play in my zoo, so it doesn't feel like it's tangible in that way either, like, you know, the way making a mod is to a game, where it's like, I've made this because I want to, because I enjoy the game so much, but also people are gonna get a lot of use out of this. And you know, if you're particularly unlucky, the dev team for your game will steal your mod idea and then just sell it to their community for some kind of price, even though you gave it away for free. If you don't know what I'm referencing, it's Bethesda, of course. They did a whole thing with the Skyrim mods. It's not important. We're not going to talk about Skyrim right now. But yeah, so this lion habitat, I did end up actually changing this fencing, just as a heads up. I think my cinematics still might have this wooden fencing in them, if I remember correctly, because I just changed them maybe in one of my final walkthroughs of my zoo. I just wasn't feeling it. I don't know. It's hard to explain. I did, because it's not really noticeable, you know? I mostly covered it up in the areas that you can see, and then for all the other areas that you're just kind of walking by it, it's also not that visible. It's like way back from the path. So, but something about it, I think it's just too harsh or something. It's too dark, maybe. I don't really like any of the habitat barriers in this game, if I'm being totally honest. The glass is okay, obviously, because it's just glass. At the same time, I desperately wish that I didn't have to have any seams in the glass. I know that realistically you can't have such a huge single glass piece, like you need seams for it to be structurally sound and have the integrity that you want it to, but at the same time, I hate having to either cover up the seams or having them be not symmetrical with my viewing area. So like if one of the seams is like 2/3 of the way across and then there's just another 1/3 panel of glass, like that irritates me. And there's not a lot I can usually do about it without changing my whole barrier around to fix it. So it's just, yeah, it can be very frustrating. But the glass is basically the only one that I like. I feel like, you know, I think, I honestly want to say that some of the other barriers that I used, like the one I ended up changing the lion habitat to, And I think I also used that one for the Indian elephant habitat. It's just the electric fence, the strong one. I think that's the first time I've ever used it in a zoo. I'm not even joking. I don't remember ever using it before. I can't think of a single habitat I've made that had that sort of fencing. And it's just because I hate the fencing. I really dislike this wooden one especially, if I'm being totally honest. But I was trying to use something different. And it felt like it could fit the vibe of this sort of like, with all the beams and stuff. I don't know. It felt like there was something there. If I could change the color, I think that would make a huge difference to me. If I could make this a light wood, that would be so much better. But as far as I know, I don't think you can change the color. Like, imagine if this fence was white. I think it would look so nice. Or just a lighter wood color, like a cherry wood, or maybe like a birch or something. I don't. Yeah, I dislike it, if you can't tell. I wish some of these barriers were colorable. I think that is something that I would desperately want in Planet Zoo 2, which is like a huge benefit of Planet Coaster, which is 90% of the objects are recolorable, which is huge because they've never done that in you know, half the wall pieces in this game you can't even recolor, which is crazy to me. Just crazy, some of them. Like the brick, the red brick, it just has something different about it. And I know they have the painted brick that you can change the color of, but it doesn't have that same brick texture because it's painted. And I know, I don't care if it's unrealistic, I just don't. I want to be able to change the color of the bricks. I want purple bricks and blue and something ridiculous. Like, imagine if you go into a place and it's got pastel colored bricks, and just immediately how you would completely understand the vibe of and the aesthetic of a place like that. It's just such a statement to have things like that, and I would love to be able to do those things more so in the game. As far as I know, I think the painted brick, you don't even get to adjust the grout and the paint colors separately. Is that so? Is it just one color? I don't know. I might be wrong about that. Don't take my word for it, but I feel like I used the painted brick in some of my building designs here, and that's what I'm remembering, but as I said, I could definitely be wrong. So, to be honest, I don't actually think the guests are going to use this front area all that often. I do put picnic benches on this huge open path here, this orange, which I have been debating since I put it down whether I like the orange path or not. It works for the lion habitat in this particular instance. Don't know that it works anywhere else. It's just it's very orange, isn't it? I'm just noticing it as I watch this build, how orange it really is. I think it doesn't look so bad in the game. Especially when everything is done, with the greenery around it, it definitely makes it feel like less overwhelming. So I am judging by the amount of time left in this video that the remainder of this habitat is going to be in the next episode. And I believe actually the episode after that is sort of related. I do this very large building of sorts, kind of curving around the lion habitat. And so you guys will get to see that. I did some more interesting things with that building. I experimented a little bit and I think it turned out okay. So, also, like with this tree, for example, I was trying to figure out what giant thing I wanted in the center of this balcony that I made, and in the end, when I was looking through all the foliage for doing the landscaping around this building, I saw this giant tree and I was like, I think that's perfect. Plus, I'm pretty sure it's like an African native tree. So yeah, it all worked out really well. I think the aesthetic of having the leaves over the balcony roof, it's not a roof, I don't know what to call it. It's like some kind of lattice work. There is a name for it, and I think it starts with a P, but I don't remember what it is right now. Anyway, I think the whole vibe ends up working pretty well. But we are coming to the end of this video very shortly. Just gonna watch me do some landscaping for a little bit longer. By the way, I did not end up recording all of the final detail working that I did in the zoo. I was just feeling like very, not overwhelmed, but just I was moving all over the place in such a way that made it impossible for me to record like a coherent video. So yeah, you won't see all me like putting in all the signs, for example, but you will see all the signs in the YouTube video. And from here on out, I believe, because I haven't recorded any of the cinematics, I think all of the signage will be in the cinematics at the end, so you will get to see a little bit better quality of cinematics here going forward, since I've now finished the zoo. But yeah, that brings us to the end of the episode. So, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to give it a like. Subscribe to my channel if you want to see more content from me. I post these videos every Tuesday and Saturday. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye!